Hello, and welcome to Living a Graceful Life. I'm your host, Denise Medved, and I'm also the creator and founder of a program called Ageless Grace Brain Health, which is being taught in 50 states in the United States and 30 other countries. And I'm here to remind you the purpose of the show, that it's never too late to begin making choices to create the life that you want to live. And our guest tonight is here to show you living proof of that, not only in what she has chosen to do for herself, but also in how she has chosen to create a program that helps others know and understand that it's never too late to begin living the life that you want to live. Jackie, welcome. We're so happy to have you here with us this evening for me, afternoon for other people, morning for some.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm very happy to be on the show.
Well, Jackie has a long resume. First of all, let me tell you that, and I'm going to give you a little bit of it. First of all, let me tell you that she is 87 years young. Woohoo! That's awesome. And I truly mean it when I say she's 87 years young. It does have to do with what you think, what you believe, how active you stay, the choices that you make that give you a quality of life that can be full of joy and delight. As Jackie likes to say, it can give you joy and delight until you're 105 or maybe more. You just never know. So she's an award-winning global educator. She lived and worked in Africa, in Europe, and in North America. She teaches ESL, which is English as a second language, at Santa Fe Community College in New Mexico. She tutors and coaches musicians and academic scholars. She's a musician and a conductor herself and has taught music many years of her life. She also, by the way, in her spare time, raised 6 children and lived and taught in foreign countries along the way. So she raised those 6 kids, but she had them with her in these different countries where she lived and worked and created songbooks and joy everywhere she went. One of the things that Jackie believes is that we all have gifts to bring to the world, and the world can only benefit when we share them. So welcome again to Jackie Ehlers. We're so happy to have you here with us. And I'd love to start off with a question, because Jackie and I spoke earlier, a couple of weeks ago or longer, and just really got to know each other. And one of the things she talked about was how she discovered her vision for the world. And I'd love her to share that story with you. What is her vision and how she discovered it?
Okay, well, it all happened when I was lying in the snow in Duluth, Minnesota, where there's a lot of snow, making snow angels. And thinking, because I'd been in a 4th grade astronomy class, what would a Martian think about the world? How would a Martian view human beings here on Earth? And it occurred to me that a lot of the things we think are just silly from a Martian's point of view. What difference does it make whether there are these imaginary lines on the Earth and someone speaks a different language because of an imaginary line? Or if your skin is darker because you're in a sunny climate, or lighter because you need more sun, what difference does it make? We're all earthlings here, and we're all on this earth together. And I decided at 9 years old that that's how I was going to live, that I was not going to live a lie. And it wound up, having me I told my husband the first night I met him that I planned to adopt children of different ethnic backgrounds. And I planned to live in a whole different country that was very different, so that I could really feel emotionally that the whole world was home. that the world is my home. And because I knew it intellectually, but you don't feel that emotionally when you're just living in one little town. So that was the beginning of everything. And my life's work became, and my vision for the world is, I have a vision of the world where every human being understands and lives from that we're all in this world together.
What a beautiful insight to receive at any time in your life, especially when you're 9 years old, which gives you lots of time to be able to live it out. And Jackie has truly lived out that in living in different countries, teaching in different countries, raising her children in different countries. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, and raising children of different ethnic backgrounds. And how fabulous is that? So out of that has come something that Jackie calls the second rainbow. And she has created a program and a workshop for people. And I'd love for you to tell us what is the second rainbow and who is it for?
Okay, well, you know, I decided as an adult that who I am is an encourager. So it didn't matter, it doesn't matter even now if I'm teaching English as the second language, or how to play the French horn, or conducting, or giving workshops. It's who I am. And I realized that most of us have this career idea. You know, you get to be in your 20s and you start this career and it goes till you're 60 or 65, and then you retire and you're done. And now people are living to be 95, 100, 105. So from 65 to 105 is 40 years. That's longer than your career. So when I say we're all in this world together, I'm talking about the half of the world that's over, that's who have the career over, as well as the people in their career and the people who are going to decide what their career is. And so I decided that the first rainbow is the career and the family, and then the family grows up, and here are these people with all of these talents and experiences to give to the world. Now, what is it that's going to be the second rainbow? What are we going to be able to do that's going to keep us alive and happy and smiling and laughing and you know, give us joy until we're 105. And I really mean that, 105. I have a friend here in Santa Fe who's 101, and she's driving her great-grandchildren home from school, and she is a working psychologist, 101. So all of us who are only 87 like me, or younger, or in your 90s, you've got a future in front of you. What are you going to do with it that gives you happiness and makes you smile?
I just love that. From the moment I heard about your program and about you, I was just so excited to meet you, and because you are what I believe in. I named my company after you, Ageless Grace, because that's the whole idea, that we can live a beautiful, delightful, joyful, graceful life as long as we live. I mean, it doesn't have to be that this is the end of something and this is the beginning of something. It's just another phase, another way of sharing who we are, sharing our talents, sharing our gifts. And I am in total agreement with you. Just a little background about the brain and Ageless Grace. And I told Jackie this earlier, that one of the things that we've learned is that doing puzzles, games, card games, doing word games actually does not delay any kind of cognitive decline. And the reason is it only activates one or two of the functions of the brain, and all five primary functions of the brain need to be activated all the time. So the good news for Jackie and people like Jackie is that, first of all, doing something new and different, especially that involves some physicality, like directing or conducting, is very important to the brain, because neuroscientists have discovered that the brain actually is in charge of everything that the body does. And so the best exercise for the brain is physical exercise. And the best kind of physical exercise is one that makes you think about it as you do it. Doesn't have to be hard. I'm not talking about exercise in the gym or working out, although that's perfectly good if that's what you love to do. I'm talking about physical movement where you're trying to figure out what you're doing. So that means that it ideally needs to be something new or different that you've never done before, because your brain is saying, well, how? I've never played softball before. How do I hit it with the bat? How do I throw it? Or I've never been a triathlon runner before, so I'm going to have to learn to run and swim and ride the bicycle. And I might be 85, but I'm learning how to do it, right? So when you're learning something physical that's new and different, even though maybe it's challenging, maybe it's not, maybe it's something very simple, then you are stimulating neurons, which are brain cells, and you're causing them to fire or activate and creating new brain cells in your brain. And Jackie, the longest lived profession in the world is orchestral conductors. And the reason is they're thinking, they're moving, they're learning new pieces of music all the time. And it's very physical. You know this, that after you've conducted someone or some group playing, that it's you get very hot and very warm and maybe even very perspiry doing that. And so that's the longest live profession in the world. Orchestral conductors live an average of 97 years old. That's an average. Woohoo! And many of them live much longer than that. But now that's true of any skill or profession or person who, forget the profession, who is staying physically active all of their lives and doing something that causes them to think about it, whatever it is. I hop around all the time doing physical, different kinds of exercises, not only in Ageless Grace, where we have 21 different ones that are different every time you do them, but also just in my own life. Like I'll say, oh, I'm going to turn right when I go out of my door for my walk today instead of left, and I'm going to see what happens. Because guess what? Turning left where there might be stairs or steps or a garden or a bend or a waterfall is different than turning left where there might be no stairs and no steps, but it's a gravel surface. So simple little physical activities that you change up all the time and don't keep doing the same way over and over again makes a huge difference. And that is why being a musician, playing a musical instrument, singing, dancing, those types of things are always changing. The steps are new. The music is a new piece you're learning. Maybe you're learning a new instrument, but you're certainly learning to play it in a new and different way. And those things are fabulous for the brain, which is fabulous for longevity, right? And clear thinking and good focus and memory and attention the rest of your life. All of that matters. And so that's one of the reasons. We also talked about how Jackie is also, she has a mindset. She has a certain way of thinking about aging, and you've already gotten an idea of about what that's about. We'll tell you more later about how to access her Second Rainbow workshops, but I would love for you to share with everyone your list that is called Great Ideas for the World. What is that all about?
Oh, yes. Okay, sure. One of the things that we like to think about is, what can we do for the rest of our lives that is going to give us joy every single day? So out of that came some of the ideas we have for the world, and some of them we are not going to do, but someone else might want to do. And some of them, that other people think of are the things that will give us joy. For instance, one of the great ideas for the world would be babysitting instructions, how to take care of baby and children in the 4th and 5th grades all over the world. so that children, as they grow up, know how to treat their baby brothers and sisters. And when they grow up and have children, know how to take care of children. What do babies need to eat? What do they need to thrive? And not when they're in middle school or high school, that's when they usually carry the egg around. But by that time, they're turned into their own problems and they're changing bodies. Fourth and fifth graders are really thinking about how to do things. And often are the babysitters in the family. I started babysitting when I was 9, when mother had the latest baby. And I think my youngest sister had Down syndrome. And so she was a baby for a very long time. And so I babysat from the time I was 9 until I was 13. And I think that was the thing that made me really want to adopt children, having a sister with Down syndrome. But anyway.
I think that's just a powerful thing, that number one, you were one of her primary caregivers, and number two, how that inspired you, what a gift she gave you, and what a gift she gave your adopted children, to inspire you to be able to adopt other children. Tell us some more of your great ideas. I love that one.
Well, I also there's one of my great ideas for the world is English walnut trees all over Africa. Because when I was living in Zambia, people needed protein. There were people who did not have access to protein, especially out in the villages. And I went home on leave to San Jose, California, where my mother was picking up walnuts from the shade trees on the street, putting them in bags and using them for months. They don't need refrigeration. They're protein. And in Zambia and many other countries in Africa, the schools and hospitals have fences around a watered yard. And if there were English walnut trees all along the fence, in 5 years, they would start having nuts. And in 20 years, they would have the hard walnut wood, which is, then they can replace the trees. It would be wonderful. And that's something I'm not going to do. I'm not a tree person, but if there's someone out there who thinks that they'd love to, or who knows connections, I'm hoping that great idea for the world. And we also have a friend who wants to introduce certain kind of tree in Canada so that truffles can grow under them. And I think that's a marvelous idea.
That is a great idea.
And I have a friend who wants pure water for everybody. And so that friend has joined, because there are many groups already out there providing water for people. So that's the idea. And there are many different kinds of great ideas for the world. And one of my great ideas is to get a website up with great ideas for the world.
I was just going to say, I would love to see this list of great ideas made accessible to many people. And certainly a website would be a wonderful way. Even a Facebook page would be a wonderful way of inspiring people. And you just never know who might come to it and say, gee, I know how to plant trees. I love that idea. And me, I'm all about the brain, so I have to throw this in there. One of the best foods for brain health is nuts. And one of the best nuts, actually the best nut, is walnuts. It stimulates the brain, and it's wonderful for positive health. Adding nuts into your diet, having especially walnuts, is a great thing to help you with deferring or completely getting rid of any possibility of having Alzheimer's, dementia, or some other form of cognitive decline. That's one of the key foods. So how fun is that? So your great idea is doubly great. Triply great. It's the walnut wood, it's the protein of the walnut, and it also helps with brain health and longevity as well. Any more ideas from your great ideas list that you'd like to share?
There are all kinds of them. But I really want people to think up their own great ideas, because that comes from thinking about what what is my vision for the world? You know, I have a vision of the world where every human being, and then you just finish the sentence.
Yes.
And out of that, we get to choose what will make us really happy in the future. And there's certain things that in the workshop I have people do that will make a huge difference in that area. One of them is creating a bucket list.
I love that. I think everyone should have a bucket list, and it's never too early to begin making your bucket list too. That's not something you have to wait and say, well, I'll make a bucket list when I'm 87. It's something that you can do as soon as you want to. I think there's another idea is, wouldn't it be nice if 4th and 5th graders made a bucket list, or 6th and 7th graders, and they know that these are things I can choose to bring me joy in my life. I can choose to make them happen.
Right.
Another thing that helps with longevity and graceful aging and living with joy and delight, as you say, is having goals. Setting goals is very, very important. A lot of people retire from their first rainbow in their profession. And if you ask them what they're going to do, they say, oh, I'll probably just relax and play golf and, have a good time and spend time with my family. But they don't have any real goals like, gee, I would like to do this, or I would like to accomplish this. And certainly your list of great ideas would be a wonderful booklet to put in the living room of every what we call continual care residential community, every retirement community, in independent living, in assisted living, skilled nursing care, memory care. What a great thing to have books of great ideas so that people can choose one that speaks to them and make them happen. Or at least, like you say, your friend joined a group that provides water. She didn't make up her own group or start something unusual or different, but she joined a group that was already making that happen. And I think I love that idea, Jackie, of you providing your list of great ideas for the world.
Thank you. There's one more thing about that, though. Before you create your bucket list and your great ideas for the world, I, in the workshop, have people list all of their talents and all of their experiences. Because what we're missing in this world when we don't include people who've retired and people who've reached 60s and above, and young people who are not sure what they're going to do, is we don't include all the experience that they have, that they can bring to things, and all the talents that people have. So a list of all of our experiences, from our experiences, we find out we have many more talents than we think we have. Then when we create our great ideas or decide or think about what would bring us joy, we have something to build on.
I love that approach. And I know that's something you do in the second rainbow in the workshop. I understand it goes on for 8 sessions, right? When you sign up for a workshop session.
Yes, exactly.
For a workshop program.
And it really needs to be that long. We need a session just to make the community safe. It's right. To make a safe environment. I'm very clear that you create a very safe environment with your show. And I think that's it. When I asked, what does the workshop do to the people who've taken it? One thing they say is that you make it so safe that we're not afraid to talk about what we do, and that it opens the world.
That's great.
People.
Well, like you say, I had an idea at one point in time, and it's happening through Ageless Grace because it's an exercise program where we laugh and play and try to figure out how to do things physically. And so one of my educators, who's now a trainer for Ageless Grace, made this happen. She created a multi-generational Ageless Grace program where she taught seniors Ageless Grace, and they would come to the Parks and Recs department where she taught. But then she would open it up during the summer to children, and she would sit them in a huge circle around a big room, and it would be a child, an adult, a child, an adult, and they would do Ageless Grace together. And the kids, we call it Forever Fit for Kids, but it's the same 21 exercises. They would do it together, and they created an ambiance for everyone, of grandparents maybe, or parents of a certain age that did not have children or did not have grandchildren, children who didn't have a grandparent, children who had never maybe interacted with older adults before. All of those things were accomplished in that one class where everybody was having a good time. And the older adults got to know the younger children, and the children got to know them. And I think, that Karen came up with a great idea for the world that I would love to see in every Parks and Recs department. Why don't we have camps where the counselors are all over 65? They have so much experience and knowledge. I am your biggest cheerleader, Jackie. I love what you're doing.
And really, the workshop is for young people too, because
Yes.
if it's going to make a difference for people who are older, imagine how much difference it could make for a younger person who's trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And what will give them joy from 9 to 5, even for their first career.
Absolutely. And they can be so inspired by older adults. I just appreciate your ideas so much. One of the things I love to do toward the end of every show content is that I love to show people one of the tools of Ageless Grace. And the reason I'm excited about showing this tool today, and I already talked to Jackie about this, is because one of our tools, tool number 4, is called Front Row Orchestra. Is that perfect or what? And it's about pretending and imagining that you're playing different musical instruments, especially if you've never played one or any of the ones we're going to pretend to play. So normally we do all of our Ageless Grace tools to music. Just because of logistics on the show, I'm not going to be doing that in this episode. But what I'd love for you to do is all of you to push back just a little bit from your screen and join me while we pretend to play different musical instruments. Now, I happen to know that Jackie plays the French horn, so that's not going to be the first instrument that we do because she's too good at that already. But we're going to play some other instruments, and we're going to play it to music inside of our head. So what I want you to do first is just tap your feet so that your feet and legs are involved. Just tap them like you're tapping to music, right? And then let's start off with an instrument that a lot of people do play. Let's play the piano. Let's play the piano. So literally think about it. Think about your left hand doing one thing and your right hand doing another thing. And the whole time your feet are tapping while you're doing this, you're playing that piano, your feet are tapping. And then you might say, I'm going to switch instead of playing the piano, and I'm going to play the flute. And still your feet are tapping and you're playing the flute on one side of your body. But because what we're trying to do is stimulate the brain, we're going to switch and we're going to play the flute over here on this side of the body too. Now, I have never played a French horn, so I'm going to watch Jackie on this one and see what she does. Let's pretend we're playing the French horn. I know it has buttons somewhere. Okay, there you go. I've got my hand kind of in the right position, and I've got to blow, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to switch hands. This might even blow Jackie's mind, because now we're going to play on this side with these fingers. And then let's pretend we're conductors, and let's conduct the orchestra. And I mentioned that that's the longest lived profession in the world. Orchestral conductors, they live to be an average of 97 because it's physical. It's new and different all the time, and they enjoy what they're doing, right? So that's just a little taste of Ageless Grace. And if you want to learn more about Ageless Grace Brain Health, you can go to agelessgrace.com. There are free classes on there. There are handouts. There are DVDs and playbooks that you can buy. But I also want to tell you about Jackie's website, where you can learn about the second rainbow and sign up for her workshop. One's coming up in mid-September, and you just go to JackieMEhlers.com. So it's JACKIE, middle middle initial MEHLERS.com, and you can learn more about the second rainbow. And I think it sounds intriguing and wonderful and an amazing opportunity for anyone of any age. So I hope you'll go visit her website to learn more. Thank you all for being here on this episode today. And I remind you once more that it's never too late to begin making choices to create the life you want to live, as testified to and an exemplary example from Jackie Ehlers. Thanks for being here, Jackie.
Thank you for having me.